Here in East Texas, stories matter. On the Right Team podcast, we bring you the best of it all. Local sports, rich history, and national takes with a hometown perspective, along with faith and inspiration to keep you moving forward. From the classroom to the field, we're about learning, growing, and celebrating the communities we call home. There's something here for everyone. Listen to the Right Team podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The Right Team podcast. East Texas stories told right. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another full episode of From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. We're coming to you, as always, from deep in the piney woods of East Texas. I am David Weaver, the host of the Right Team podcast, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the sports director of KMHT 103.9 FM, the heartbeat of East Texas, and the pastor of Friendship Baptist Church in Marshall, Texas, Brother Matt Paul. Matt, I hope you had a good weekend. I know you probably watched a lot of basketball.
Watched a lot of basketball, got to be on the call for some ETBU softball on Friday, so that's always fun. And so, yeah, good weekend, good stuff, ready to go with a new week.
Yeah, I saw Coach Shirley in church yesterday and let her know that I had tried my best to jinx them last week by predicting they would not lose another game the rest of the regular season, and she didn't appreciate that very much. But fortunately, we were in church, so there's not a whole lot she could do to me.
He might have been thinking about you in that second game Friday, man, because that one, that was a tight one.
Nah, I've seen a lot more tight situations that they've come through. But speaking of ETBU softball, we have no stranger to the Tiger softball program here. As a special guest this morning, we are welcoming Coach Maddie Melton, the new ETBU women's flag football coach, who I believe is also still coaching softball this spring.
Yes.
And so she's a busy young lady as we speak this morning. But Maddie, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So I like to do this with all of our guests. Just kind of tell us your background. I know you're from Hallsville, and kind of start there, and just kind of tell us your journey that brought you to this point to where you are becoming a new flag football coach.
Okay. So like you said, I'm from Hallsville, born and raised. I played softball there all 4 years, played for a state title my senior year. Ended up going to play 2 years at another school right down the road, my first 2 years of college, where I kind of lost my love for the game, decided that I was going to be done with sports altogether. And then Coach Shirley reached out to me actually the day after I made my decision that I was done with softball. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on a visit to be nice. We're going to check out what ETBU is about, but I'm not playing. So I stepped on the campus at ETBU, and me and my mom went on this one, fell in love the second we stepped on campus, not just for how beautiful it is, but the environment, from the president to the culture there, the staff. And so I knew, like, hey, I'm going to give this place a chance. And it ended up being the best decision that I could have made. I was actually going to leave after my first year because I was graduating, but I ended up coming back for another year and then decided to stay around to be a GA, just because I heard someone say, once you're at ETBU, you never want to leave and you're never going to leave. And so that kind of happened to me. And whenever the flag football position opened up, I've had a lot of people kind of encouraging me in that role. And I knew that my love for ETBU, like if I wanted to stay around, I was going to have to explore some new options. And so I had a lot of people pushing me and still encouraged that I could do this flag football position. And so kind of went out on a limb and interviewed for the position. And now it's been nothing but amazing since I took it.
Well, you mentioned you're only going to stay there that 1 year. It kind of helps to win a national championship, right? To kind of convince me, hey, I may want to come back and do this again, right?
Yeah.
And you guys, of course, made another deep run last year, and of course, it ended up ultimately, I think, a little bit disappointing for you guys. But let's talk a little bit about, first of all, did you ever think that you would become a coach at all when your college journey started? I know you mentioned, you were from Hallsville and you got into this thing and actually didn't want to play softball anymore at a certain point. When did you make that choice? Hey, I believe I would like to try coaching. When did that light kind of come on for you?
Yeah, so growing up my whole life, I trained at a place called APEC down in Tyler, Texas. It's a sports performance facility. And so, training there, I think I started in 8th grade. I developed a love for sports performance and teaching athletes how to train their body the right way. And so, I realized that I really wanted to work in that field. And so, I always said, if you ask anybody around me, I said, I will never coach softball, but I did want to work in sports performance. I'll coach softball players that way, but not hitting, not pitching. Like, that's not what I want to do. And so I've known for a very long time that I've wanted to coach in the realm of training other athletes. I just didn't want to do softball. And so this flag football position is kind of the perfect route for me. We work on a lot of a lot of what we trained at APEC doing sports performance, but it also gives me the opportunity to really branch out and use some of the things that I learned there to set our program apart in what we're building.
So I tried to do some research on flag football because when I first hear flag football, I'm thinking backyard football. I mean, that's literally what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, hey, let's get a few friends together. Let's go out in the backyard and let's throw the ball around a little bit. But I'm amazed to see the growth of this sport. Obviously, it's an Olympic sport now, right? I mean, and the NCAA is really pushing this as far as a new women's sport. What's the difference for those out there who were kind of like me before I actually looked into it a few weeks ago? But well, actually, when I saw that you got hired, I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So you start doing a little research on it and you find out it's a pretty popular deal, or it's growing in popularity. What are some differences and maybe some similarities that just the regular football fan can look forward to when it comes to flag football?
I think similarities for the most part. It's very similar to the game of football as far as like someone's tackled and then flags pulled. It's the same rules. Something a little bit different is the field is split into 4 20-yard sections. So you have 4 downs to get the ball across that 20 yards or it's a turnover. We do have some punts in there. So on 4th down, you can either go for it or you can punt to the other team. Let's see, what are a few of the other big ones? There's no fumbles. So if you're running with the ball, drop the ball, it is dead on the spot, which is a little bit different. For the most part,
But I'm assuming interceptions are the same, right?
Yeah, you can intercept it just dead as soon as the ball hits the ground.
Can you run the football, like have a running back that runs the ball, or is it like a 7-on-7 where everything's a pass?
No, you can run. There are a few no run zones. So 5 yards, like the 50-yard line. So 5 yards on each side of it. It is a no rush zone. So you have to pass it. And then I think that's about it. There's a few other little differences here and there that we're kind of working through right now.
Yeah, I was wondering how, because I've seen this in different, I'm familiar a little bit with some flag football rules, but I've seen kind of variations in blocking. Obviously, if you're going to run the ball, usually it's almost more like screening rather than putting hands on people. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so ours is completely no contact, but every single league you look at, it's going to be a little bit different. Every single division of college right now has different rules. And so that's something that we've been kind of working through, is learning exactly how we're going to play our very first year. And then how we played this year is going to be kind of what determines if there's anything we need to change for year 2, is from what all of us are understanding right now. But for us, it's no contact at all.
Gotcha.
So how I mean, and obviously you guys are going to start next spring, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Spring of 2027. How do you approach the recruiting part of this? Because to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that is there a whole lot of women's flag football being played at the high school level? I mean, how do you recruit? Who are you recruiting? What kind of gall goes into that?
Yeah, so it's actually huge at the high school level. In California, Florida, Arizona, Alabama, it's huge there. And so a lot of the high school recruiting I've been doing has been from those states. However, Texas has 2 really good leagues that are starting, one with the Cowboys and one with the Texans. And so the first little bit of spring, I've kind of spent my time watching all the high schools that are partnered with the Cowboys, and now the Austin area and Houston area is kind of kicking off with the Texans. And so there's over 120 high schools in Texas that have flag football and are playing. And now it's not a sanctioned sport here, so it's kind of coaches volunteering to do this position, but it's huge. And there's some really good athletes here. Originally, when I started recruiting, I figured most of my recruiting was going to have to be from out of state just because it's not huge here. But I think 50% of our committed girls are from high schools in Texas that have either started playing a year ago or 3 years ago and are just naturally talented at this sport. And so I have about a 50-50 out of state and then Texas roster right now.
Wow. You kind of make me nervous when you mention the Cowboys. They don't do much good here lately, so I'm hoping they can produce better football for you.
I know. So they actually have the reigning state champs in their organization. I have a few girls from that organization, but it's elite. Flag football at the high school level is insane, but they have pretty good teams in their organization.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, kind of building off of that, you're used to seeing Mary Hardin Baylor, Hardin Simmons, TLU. These are teams that ETBU is used to going against in a lot of different sports. Are a lot of those schools having teams as well? Is that kind of what you'll be competing against, or will it be something different?
Yeah, so our whole conference that we're playing, like for softball right now, the ASC will have flag football. So Shriner's been playing about 2 years now, so they're a little bit ahead of the game. They started as an intramural and then club. We have McMurray, we have UMHB, Hardin Simmons, Howard Payne. So our full conference has it, and then quite a few in the SCAC have it as well.
Cool.
Wow. So I know for ETBU hockey, at least, it's a little bit different as far as their scheduling, but it sounds like you guys are going to like hit the ground running in terms of conference play and having a consistent schedule. Have you thought about scheduling how many games you guys are going to play? When does it all start for next spring?
Yeah, so we have our conference built out for the next 2 years, our conference schedule. It's going to be very similar to a softball schedule. So we're playing double headers. So I think we have 3 home series, 2 away series next year, but we can have a total of 24 games and then a minimum of 12. And so we'll get 10 alone with just conference, but we're working on scheduling right now, trying to find quite a few teams from out of state to either come down to us or we'll take a trip out there and get quite a few games in.
Wow, and I'm assuming you'll be playing in Ornelas Stadium, which of course I have my backdrop here today, right?
Yes.
And so are you going to have like a full coaching staff? I mean, is it like you have positional coaches? Will you be a head coach calling plays, that kind of thing? How does that work?
Yeah, we'll have 2 assistants. We're looking for some graduate assistants to come on, and we're in the process of looking for those and hiring right now.
That's cool.
Okay. So, yeah. And I'm assuming, I mean, once this really gets going after this season, you won't be coaching softball anymore.
Yeah,
Are you gonna miss that?
I will. I'm going to miss the environment, being around the coaches. It's the best part of my day, but we'll be right across the field from them, so I can easily walk over there, ignore them sometimes.
Big time them a little bit. That's the new program.
Yeah.
Hey, having been the SID when football was brought back a long time ago, Maddie, my gosh, how old are you? You might not even been born then, back in 2000. But anyway, I was there, and obviously it was a completely different athletic program. But have you sensed the kind of excitement that you want as far as the new coach of the new program and everything out there with everything that's grown at ETBU? I believe you guys are the 25th program, maybe, or the 24th, and the newest. How does that feel being the new kid on the block?
Yeah, it's exciting, definitely drawing a lot of attention, but a huge selling point for us in recruiting has been the excitement from the upper levels in bringing in this sport, from the president to the athletic director. Just other coaches on staff are truly so excited about flag coming in, and it's evident just by the conversations they have with me. And so that's been a really big selling point when I'm talking to recruits, is just telling them, like, we're not the only ones excited about the sport coming in, but everybody above us has taken so much initiative to bring in a coaching staff and bring in athletes to this school, and just the gear that we have and the facilities they're offering us. Like, it's really been huge in recruiting and just the support that we've received.
Well, and I think one of the cool things, and I want to hear your thoughts on getting to be a part of it at ETBU. They're always adding new sports, and the sports have been successful. The new sports, we look at bass fishing, we look at beach volleyball. Just had a good performance at nationals and Gulf Shores. So you've got these new sports which you're about to be a part of, but also the women's sports at ETBU are just like flying off the charts right now. I mean, softball goes without saying, but you look at Mallory Matthews' squad with volleyball, who had their best season ever and is just kind of a championship waiting to happen. You look at women's basketball and the growth that we've seen there. What does it mean for you to now be a part of that, not as a player, but as a coach, both with a new sport and as a part of such an exciting women's sports program on campus?
Yeah, well, I know we have a lot of work to do so we can get up there with those coaches. That's my goal, is to kind of, get our program on the same level of those. And so it's really exciting now that I've kind of stepped out of the athlete role to the coaching role. I could take it, I think, as very nerve-wracking. Like, I have to perform how these coaches do, but I know good things take time, and we're on a really great path so far with just the girls that we've recruited and the place that our program is at right now. And so I'm really confident and excited for, what year 1, year 2, what year 3 is going to bring, just because of where we're at right now. I'm super excited for it.
Are you seeing some interest locally in terms of some local players who you might be bringing on? I asked that because I don't believe that you would know this better than I would, if there's any flag football actively going on in our East Texas area. But I'd be interested to know if there's any players out there that have piqued your interest and are interested in joining the program.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who have definitely piqued my interest just from their athleticism in other sports. However, locally right now, we haven't had the best of luck in that. And I think it's just a completely new area for East Texas. A lot of girls don't understand how big it is and how quick the sport is growing. And granted, if I wasn't in the role that I was in right now, I probably would have been thinking the same as a lot of these athletes. Like, what is flag football? As far as leagues, Hallsville is actually working on getting one started. If you drive through the city of Hallsville, they have banners and signs out everywhere for signups. And then Mount Pleasant has a league. They partner with a company called 5v5 Sports. And so they kicked off in Mount Pleasant, I think, this fall, and then they're coming to Tyler next. And so it's growing. I think that probably within the next year, we're going to see quite a bit more attention coming out of the East Texas area, but right now it's new to a lot of us, and so we haven't had as much luck as we'd like to.
Well, sounds exciting. As we're talking to you, you said you're literally out on the road recruiting, right? So there's no rest for the weary this time of year, especially when you're starting a new program. So what are some next steps now that you're excited about in this process that goes into this? Obviously you're recruiting now, but what are you going to be looking to do over the summer and going into the fall as you get ready for this first season coming up next spring?
Yeah, so I think right now we're focused on recruiting. When summer hits, that's when hopefully we'll have our assistants coming in, our staff, and we'll really dive into plays, kind of building our playbook from there, developing the goals we really want to set our first year. And then when we get to the fall, we've told all of our girls the fall is going to be a really big evaluation time for us. Most of these girls we've seen play in high school, or like I said, they're from different states across the country, and so it'll be our first time seeing them in person. And so the fall for us is going to be a whole lot of evaluations, kind of running everybody through everything, seeing the depth that we have as a team, and then that's when we'll kind of refine and tune up the plays that we've made so far, just to see what will best work for us as a program.
Okay, are you a football fan in general, or regular football?
I'm a college football fan. I'm a Longhorn.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Matt probably doesn't like that. He's an Arkansas Razorback, but I don't know that they even consider their football program much anymore. So
yeah.
So anyway, but that's great.
I do have to ask, how significant a role does your dog play in recruiting?
Oh, she's huge. She's sitting right here beside me right now. I know you saw her climb up in my lap earlier. She's huge. It always comes up somehow in conversation. So I show photos of my dog and I let them know she's going to be at every single practice, every single game. So I think it helps a little bit.
Very similar
David,
to Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
David, a funny story. The first time, or one of the first times I met Maddie, I was actually with her family. I think her mom had her dog at the game, and Maddie came out to see her dog, and I'd just been talking with her mom. And the first thing I heard Maddie say, she went down and petted her dog, and she said, "Mommy didn't hit very well today." I think Maddie hadn't had a hit that day or something. And so anyway, it was funny. So I think I knew Maddie's dog before I knew Maddie, maybe. I don't know, but
Most people do.
Yeah. Well, the thing I remember about you, Maddie, is, and I hope I don't put you on the spot here because I'm not trying to do that, but in my memory, I was doing some PA during that national championship season out there. I didn't get to do the World Series, but I'm just going to go on record to say this, and I told several people this at the time. I was like, you guys don't win that national championship without the contributions that you put in the circle in particular.
no doubt.
If I recall, you came in a couple of really big situations late in the game and closed it out or gave us a chance to win. And that's where I kind of stamped your name down and said, okay, you're going down in the history books here for sure. So just wanted to relate that to you and say it's impressive that you're able now to take on this challenge of bringing in a new program and kind of educating us around here in a football crazed area. And so we're excited for you, and we're going to be pulling for you and hope to come out and watch some games.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Well, we're going to let Maddie go here and get
Yeah.
back on the recruiting trail. And but thank you for coming and joining us here, and we'll be talking soon.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks,
having
Maddie.
me.
Thanks, Maddie.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Fun.
Yeah, very
That's
cool.
an interesting
Very
thing.
cool.
I don't mean to. I hope it didn't come across as me not being educated at all on flag football, because again, we all know it is an Olympic sport. I mean, the NFL is throwing all their weight behind it for sure, and I was a little surprised to see that it's actually becoming a big deal now in the NCAA. The NCAA is really pushing this at all levels of their competition arenas, and it's going to be interesting to see how this sport develops.
Yeah, for sure. That was cool to kind of get, but you're right, to get a little educated on it.
For sure. And so, again, that will be starting next next spring. And Maddie will be spending the upcoming months putting a team together, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can get that program built and again, be competitive out there in the ASC. But it'll be fun to watch. It's always fun to see new stuff.
For sure.
Okay, let's kind of get caught up on some stuff that's happened over the weekend. You and I were talking a little bit. Of course, the big weekend of the first round of the NBA playoffs is up and going. What are some nuggets you took away, no pun intended, from some of the action this weekend? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I say, first of all, now the series I was maybe most wanting to watch was the Rockets and the Lakers. Just kind of see, what LeBron could do with in this situation. And then they announced that KD's out for game one. And then LeBron just controlled the game in a way that LeBron does. He doesn't go out there and score 40 points, although he can do that. I look up in the first quarter and he's got 8 assists. And so interesting to see how long that series goes, and if the Lakers are able to get Luka and or Austin Reeves back on the back end of that series, or if they advance or they come back for the second round. Boy, the Orlando Magic go into Detroit. The 8 beats the 1. Now, I said early on, the Pistons are that 1 seed that you're like, okay, but like you don't have any playoff chops, so how good are you going to be? was really impressed. Every time the Pistons made a run at Orlando, the Magic answered back with a couple buckets, and suddenly there they are, just winning game one. So that'll be a fun series to watch play out. But man, one game in, it's never a good idea to make assumptions one game in, right? But if after one game I had to pick, boy, don't the Celtics and the Thunder look like they're on a crash course. Now, again, that's one game. A lot could change, but yeah, that kind of stood out to me. Both those teams just really took care of business in a big way.
Yeah, and you and I have talked a little bit, and I've made my opinions known on LeBron. And really, I have two things that kind of needle me when it comes to LeBron James. Number one, most of it is his off the court stuff, right? I mean, it's stuff that some things I just don't agree with. That's probably not fair to judge him as a basketball player for what I feel, in that way. I also think he flops too much. I think it's embarrassing. And credit to him, man. He takes a lot of heat for it, but he sticks to it. I mean, he's not changing his game. But with all that being said, that the other night was one of the most impressive, probably, things of his Hall of Fame career. Being without Luka Doncic, being without Austin Reeves, he's basically 1-on-5 in the playoffs. Now, it did help, as you said, that KD didn't play. But, I mean, you said it here the other day, I think. We kind of thought the Rockets were at least going to run away with this series. And for LA to go out there and LeBron to literally put them on his shoulders at his age, at this stage of his career, and be able to kind of will them to a win the other night was very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, if he gets a series win here, that's another evaluating point that you have to consider. I mean, we're one game in. So again, I'm prefacing all this with, you don't make assumptions on one game. People like to say, well, 78% or 79% of game one winners go on to win it. I'm like, okay, that means maybe 2 of the 8 aren't. So it's not really that impressive of a stat. But if you can be the controlling force in a playoff series at age 41, that's crazy. I mean, that's never before seen.
I would still take the Rockets on this in this series, because I don't think LeBron's going to be able to do that every night.
Yeah.
And if he is, and these injuries to Luka and Reeves, kind of linger, he's going to get worn out. I mean, he is. He won't be able to physically take the toll that it's going to take on his body. But on the flip side of that, I'm a little concerned, if I'm a Rockets fan, with KD missing game one due to what they say is a sore knee. He's no spring chicken either. And a couple things there. Number one, it kind of bothers me that he would miss the first playoff game in 2 ways. Number one, is it something more than just a sore knee? Or do the Rockets look at the Lakers and say, we can afford to have him, if we're going to have him, if we're going to keep him out of the lineup for one game, this is the game to do it.
Yeah.
If they were kind of maybe taking it a little bit lightly based on the Lakers' injury troubles, I don't know. Either way, if he doesn't play in game 2 and this thing kind of lingers a little bit, that may change the way I think about this series a little bit. It almost evens it up to a certain point. I mean, I would almost take LeBron James against a KD-less Rockets squad. But if KD's in, it's kind of the deal. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays in game 2, if that knee suddenly isn't sore anymore.
And it really highlights, to me, it just highlights yet another remarkable thing about LeBron's career is his durability. I mean, gosh, KD being injured, are you shocked? It's almost like being up there with Anthony Davis. I mean, he's going to get hurt. It's what happens. And LeBron is so durable. So that's a little disconcerting if I'm a Rocket fan. Like, Didn't know. I had no idea he was going to be out till I saw the news break either the night before or the morning of. So I don't know, but they don't want to mess around with this series.
No.
You go down 2-0, it's tough. You got to win 4 out of 5.
If he doesn't play game 2, he's got way more than they're letting on.
Yeah,
with that need.
for sure. For sure.
Because it's not at a point now where they can afford to, okay, let's just give him another night off.
Yeah.
I would have to think there's something deeper with that injury. So if Katie, I would say it's almost a lock he's going to play in game 2. The other game that caught my attention, and I just wanted to mention this, and you brought this up as maybe one of the most intriguing series of the first round, was that Denver and Minnesota series. And the Nuggets are going into this thing, Matt. That was their 13th straight win, right? I mean, you talk about peaking and playing well at the right time. And the problem with that is these two teams just beat each other to death last year in that playoff series. And if this thing is as competitive as it looked the other night, Minnesota blew an early 10-point lead in the first quarter, and it was tied at halftime, and then Denver pulled away. But man, if these two teams are meeting in the first round and they put that kind of physical beating on each other, if this thing goes 6-7 games again, I don't know that either one of these teams can handle a long playoff run.
Well, I think the Spurs would love to see that because they're more than likely going to be awaiting the winner of this. This is one of those. I'm a big proponent in the NBA playoffs. Game 2 is going to tell me a lot more than game 1. Game 1 is there's all this energy. There's energy for the teams like, the Magic who are kind of, they had to win a do or die game just to get in. So, you're kind of fueled to get in. The home crowds, there's energy for game 1. What happens in game 2 when the newness fades, when you start settling into the series, when coaches make adjustments? That's where I think everything. That's why I'm so excited for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, for tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. That's where everything kind of settles in. And so that's what I'm looking to see. If the Nuggets go and win game 2, then I think they're probably in control of this series. But I do believe it's going to be a dogfight. I believe the Timberwolves are good. And if they win game 2, I mean, we need to settle in for a barn burner, and that's the one you want to tune into.
Yeah, the old adage that it's not a series until the home team loses a game.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes a series. It'd be interesting to see these game 2s, exactly who's able to rise up as the visitors and maybe gain a split, which is what they want. So,
yeah.
Before we leave the NBA, obviously the awards nominations are out or released, the finalists yesterday, late last night. Wanted to get your take on maybe who you think is probably the leader in the clubhouse for the MVP voting. Of course, the final 3 are Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with the Thunder, and then Nikola Jokic, of course, with Denver. Who I mean, I'll just say it. Based on the numbers, I mean, he gets my vote. Joker does. I mean, which would be his 4th MVP. He's approaching legendary status if he's able to get a 4th one. Well, 3 is probably pretty good, but 4th would probably cinch that for me.
I bet SGA is the favorite. I bet and that's fine. I would not vote for him, but not because I think he doesn't deserve it. I bet he's the favorite, though. I would pick him to win it. I'm with you on Jokic. I mean, leading the league in rebounds and assists is just fascinating. And then you're still scoring.
He's averaging a triple-double.
Yeah. I mean, then you're almost scoring 28 a game. Wembanyama, it's kind of curious that he may be the most important player in the NBA. And it's weird because he's averaging 25 points, 11.5 boards, and 3 blocks a game. And he's doing it on only 29 minutes a game. So when you look at those stats in only 29 minutes a game, you're like, yeah, wow, what would it be? But then how valuable are you if I'm only getting 29 minutes a game out of you? There's kind of 2 sides to that coin, I think. And so I think you can't go wrong with any of these. I do think there's a chance that we're heading into an era where Wemby's about to own the NBA.
Right.
I really do think, and he may put a stamp on that this year. I don't know, but I would go Jokic.
Yeah, and then Anthony Edwards, of course, is a final. I don't really understand this. He's a finalist for Clutch Player of the Year, despite falling short of the league's 65-game minimum. I don't understand how you can be a finalist while not qualifying under the minimum. I know they had the appeal process that went, but he was the one that lost his appeal. Luka Doncic and Cade Cunningham won their appeals on that 65-game minimum requirement. So I'm not quite sure. I understand how Edwards, in losing his appeal, is still a finalist for that. But I think SGA is probably going to win that one too. He's a finalist for that as well.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like we've debated the Rookie of the Year,
Yes.
So we'll see how that comes down. Defensive Player of the Year, I feel like pretty much a no-brainer. I feel like that's going to be Wemby. Coach of the Year is really interesting to me. On the surface, I feel like you got to either give it to Bickerstaff of the Pistons or Mitch. I'm blanking on his last name from the Spurs. Johnson,
yeah.
Thank you. It's a real rare last name. I understand why I forgot that. But anyway, on the surface, those look like the winners. But, you look at what Missoula did without having Jason Tatum for the lengthy stretch of time, and they still finishes the 2 seed. Not only not having Jason Tatum, but they kind of jettisoned Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. There was a lot of rebuild and expecting some players that you probably hadn't, the average NBA fan hadn't heard of. And so I don't know. I think you can make a case for either one of these. I'd probably lean Bickerstaff just because he doesn't have Wemby. And so, and he won the East. But I think that one's a really intriguing one.
Let's move on to college football here. A couple of interesting headlines that popped up over the weekend. There's been another Georgia football arrest, Matt. And this one, I'll say this one is different than just someone speeding in a car and putting lives at danger. This sounds like just a good old-fashioned party night that got out of control, and maybe alcohol maybe was involved with this, the way it was sounding, or I'm not quite sure. We don't get a whole lot of details on this, but former Georgia wide receiver Zachariah Branch, who is expected to go maybe second round on the high end. For sure, he'll be gone in the third round, I would think. But he was arrested early Sunday morning in Athens on 2 possible misdemeanor charges, according to ESPN. The charges include obstructing public sidewalks and streets / prowling and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Arrested at about 1:30 on Sunday morning, released on bond. Of course, this goes in a long line, and we all know the list of players who have a problem at Georgia. And at some point, I don't know, man, it doesn't seem like it, but at some point, don't you have to kind of question Kirby Smart a little bit about this? I don't know that he's come out much and said much about any of these incidents, but I mean, at some point, doesn't the buck stop there a little bit? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know, because it's so different than like the Paterno thing, it's a totally different scenario, but this is just crazy. Like, I don't know how this keeps happening. And like you said, it's not like the others exactly with the whole automobile thing and everything, but like I know it happens at every school, but it sure seems to be oddly specific a little more often at this school. I don't know. I don't know how much you expect a coach to do that. I do know that Saban seemed to have a grip on that. And that may be one of the biggest differences between Kirby and Saban, is that Saban could, for lack of a better term, it felt like Saban could mind control his players and how they carried themselves. But I don't know, man. It's just kind of wild to me.
The thing that this caught my attention, and normally, and like you said, this happens everywhere. And at Georgia, it seems to happen well, we know it doesn't seem to. We know that it happens way more frequently, it appears, than other places. My only issue with this thing that I bring it out today is that Kirby Smart likes to get at the microphone and say things like, you know, we do things differently here. We don't play for money. We play physical football. And he likes to kind of beat his chest about that. And I understand that to a certain extent. But when you do that, these kind of things need to become more rare than they become the norm. And it continues to happen. And so you might want to worry about your four walls a little bit more when you start, you know, throwing barbs passively aggressively at other programs.
Yes.
And that's my only thing with that is, and again, some of it's sour grapes because he's owned Texas, and most of these things that I have issue with when he says them come after those losses. He likes to take jabs, and I guess he's probably earned that. But when you do that, you better be ready to take this kind of stuff about questions about how you run your program when all of your players or a lot of your players are involved in this kind of thing. Seemingly, it happens every offseason. That there's something going on with Georgia and a player being arrested or being involved in one of these things. And I just would say you have to kind of balance that a little bit and you know, don't always be the one standing up on top of the mountain when you might need to be down there a little bit and take a little bit more active role in this and controlling it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I agree.
So, and again, a lot of it's sour grapes. We haven't beaten them yet, and so maybe I should take that into account. But anyway, it did happen again, and this was different. From the kid standpoint, you hope it wasn't something that's going to. It is a misdemeanor apparently, so hopefully it's not something that's going to affect his draft status, and it was just a one-time mistake. Interesting to see if this does affect him coming up in the draft this weekend. He is one of the top, probably, I would say 6 or 7 guys, receiver guys in this draft. And so, you know, interesting to see if that affects his draft status. The other big thing coming out, college football related. I don't know if you saw this, kind of a back and forth going between Alabama and Indiana still following the Rose Bowl. Former Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson had some things to say on a podcast last week. And when you read these comments, I don't see them as necessarily that controversial. He basically, I don't know, when you read this from Tyson, let me just read this for context. He says, from my point of view, I was like, they don't do much. He's talking about the Indiana defense in the Rose Bowl. Of course, go back to the Rose Bowl, eventual national champion Indiana walloped Alabama 38-3 in that Rose Bowl. Did as much as anything to hurt Ty Simpson's draft stock in that game. He was awful. He says they do the same thing every down. So when I got the ball and knew exactly what was going to happen, they just didn't mess up, bro. They were in the same exact spot they were supposed to be. They were so well coached. Then he goes on to say it was so much different in the SEC. In the SEC, they'll play man. They'll do these unorthodox coverages. That's kind of how it is. That game was crazy to me. Of course, I got hurt, so that was a bummer. I knew what they were going to do. We couldn't really run the ball, didn't really throw. It was just so crazy to me how that happened. Of course, if you remember, he got hurt in that game. I think he suffered a rib injury. It was a cracked rib or something. He had to come out of that. He wasn't acting like he knew where Indiana's defenders were going to be because, again, they only put up 3 points in that football game. And then, of course, Indiana's defensive coordinator claps back. This is Bryant Haynes, and he does it on Twitter, of all things. Of course, again, That's always fun. He says, adorable. This was his tweet. Adorable. We also saw everything they were doing on every single snap. It's just that we exploited those cues and didn't get frozen and crushed by them. Then, of course, Alabama Nation comes back, Crimson Tide. What else are you going to do in the spring, right, if you're a football fan? And then Haynes couldn't let it go. He says, that's all it took to break your entire fan base. Wow, maybe I should have just said boo. No apologies, no compliments. Grow up, folks. He had a bad take, and I said the painful truth. Bounce back better. It's always fun to see this kind of stuff going on in April, right? But, man, from what I remember in that game, maybe Ty was trying to say something complimentary in a way that it didn't come off that way. But if he was so confident that he knew everything Indiana was doing to him, that doesn't bode well for his NFL career if he can't read defenses better than that.
And yeah, that to me, this just smacked of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, like, to me, I read that and I was like, he basically just said Indiana's defense isn't like what it is in the SEC. It's a lot more complex in the SEC. It's a lot more, and so I get, now I'm not a fan of the coach hopping on Twitter to respond, but I get the coach being mad. Ty Simpson, honestly, the comments didn't seem like that would help his draft stock that much. Like I knew exactly what they were going to do. They were just too good at it. They were never out of place. And it's like, but if you knew right where they were going to be, then why didn't you make the right read? Like, I don't know. It was a weird thing to me. I'm on the side of the Indiana DC on this one. I don't like his response on Twitter necessarily, but yeah, Ty Simpson should have kept his mouth shut, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't give it in his situation. You can't. It's not good to get drawn into something that's happened in the past. I mean, you're actually looking to move on to the NFL. You're going to have a new career with another team. You are really no longer – you're not the Alabama quarterback. Don't get caught down in the weeds of something that's happened that you really have no control over at this point. But when you read his quote, I agree with you. It seems more of a compliment that he just kind of got his words mixed up and didn't really express himself that well. But you also got to have the adult in the room. The coach needs to stay off Twitter. That's his only mistake.
He does. It's just one of these. If you lose 38-3 on national television on the one game everybody's watching, just say they whooped our butts. They were the much better team that day, and let's move on. You don't have a leg to stand on.
If you're the coach, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is point to the scoreboard and the stat sheet. And it doesn't matter if you're considered vanilla on defense. I mean, my gosh, you beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl by 35. If you're vanilla, that means you got a pretty good football team. If you can do that. And so, anyway, that was one of the interesting headlines that came out of college football over the weekend that I just wanted to share today.
Yeah.
Moving on to some baseball updates here from major leagues. The Texas Rangers are sputtering back home, Matt, after another stinker of a series in Seattle. Did get out of there with one win. I don't know if you've seen this stat, but since 2020, the Rangers in Seattle are 10-40. They won 10 games in 6 seasons, or 5+ seasons up there in Seattle. I don't know what it is about that ballpark. I've actually been to that ballpark, actually not inside it. I actually got to walk around it because we couldn't get in, but it was I mean, there's nothing special about it. There's really not. I don't understand why it's been such a struggle up there, but that is a house of horrors for anyone in a Texas Rangers uniform.
Feels like getting 1 out of 3 is actually kind of a step forward compared
Friday
to
night. I was actually happy Friday night because I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter what happens the rest. We actually got one. We're not going to get swept. But then at the end of the game, and you wake up Saturday, you're thinking, okay, we got 2 shots here to actually win a series.
Yeah.
And the thing that troubles me with that is, And we've talked about at the beginning of the year, the Rangers starting pitching was their strong point. And we're not getting the length we need out of those guys. DeGrom goes even in the win, DeGrom only goes 4 Friday. Evaldi gets knocked out in the 5th. Mackenzie Gore can't keep the ball in the ballpark yesterday. He goes out early. Got one of the best bullpens in baseball through the first month of the season. But this is not a good way to protect your bullpen when they're having to throw 5-6 innings every night. And I was kind of thinking some of this is kind of goes back to my old school way of thinking. Is some of this, we pull these guys when they're at 85, 90 pitches. At some point, we have to push them through that. And we have to – I don't care how old you are. If you can't give me 5 innings, 5-6 innings consistently within 100 pitches – now, credit the Mariners. I think there were – it felt like there were 500 foul balls Friday night, even in the win.
Yeah.
They wore DeGrom out with foul balls. So you got to give credit to them a little bit in doing this, but this has been a pattern all year that just kind of concerns me. We're in first place, but it's kind of telling. We ended last year 81-81, and what are we now through 22 games?
Yep,
still 500. You kind of are what your record says you are, and I think I've heard that before somewhere, right? But maybe this team is just a 500 ball club.
I don't know. It's like you said. I mean, I feel like I hated that they had a chance to win the series and didn't, but I feel like you get out of there with 1. It's at least better than it has been. If you can regroup and bounce back, I think you're fine. That's the big question mark right now is are they going to be able to do that?
Yeah, got a big 9-game homestand coming up, or a week-long homestand coming up this week.
Of course, that's been a house of horrors. We've talked about that for us. So,
yeah. We have to see if that was just a one-series kind of thing or if this is a problem at Globe Life. I'm going to lean toward it being a problem. Ball just doesn't carry in that ballpark. I did see Friday night in the win when they won 5-0. I was kind of very pleased to see some old school baseball. There was some bunting going on. There was some moving runners over. There was what I call professional at bats with getting runners home from third. I mean, you can win games with a ballpark like that. You just have to admit that you have to win games that way and stop trying to, batting practice But that all starts again on Tuesday when they welcome the Pirates to town. So we'll see how it all goes when the Rangers come home for a few games. On the flip side of that, down in Houston, man, I saw this stat yesterday. I just wanted to share, but Yordan Alvarez is on pace for 70 home runs this season, which would be, of course, record-setting for sure. On the flip side of that, though, his team, the Astros, are on pace at this time for 60 wins.
Ouch.
So let's just say Yordan stays on this pace, hits 70. He could do that on a team that wins 60 games. The Astros are struggling right now, and maybe the worst team in baseball.
I know that makes you sad to say.
If you follow Astros Twitter, which I don't necessarily do that by choice, but now, I mean, there is a meltdown city going on down there right now. I mean, you got folks wanting to fire the manager, fire the general manager, get rid of the owner, put the team up for sale, trade everybody. I mean, it's and look, man, I've been there. I've been where you're in mid-April and your season feels like it's already done. I will say this, with what this team, with what that organization has accomplished in the last 10 years. Hey, let's give them a couple more months before we finally throw the dirt on them, right? I mean, it's still early in the season, and it looks bad right now, but they are really bad. They just got swept by the Cardinals, but yeah. But anyway, interesting to see how that goes. I don't think they're going to they may win 65. I'll give them that. I'll be okay with winning 65.
Gosh,
it makes me great. It makes me grateful to be 500, Matt. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, it could be worse. My Cubs are 12-9, and they're tied for last. I mean, just depends on the division you're in, right? I mean, geez.
Yeah, and speaking of teams who are struggling right now, this was kind of unexpected. Of course, the New York Mets have lost 11 straight. I saw a tweet, and as much as I advise people to stay off Twitter, I sure reference it a lot, don't I?
Yeah.
But the Mets have lost 11 straight games. I saw a tweet yesterday that said, and this is not factually true, but it was just kind of funny, that the Mets haven't won a game since Iran had a Navy.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
And I think it's been a little longer than that, but it's we do know that in New York it's a little bit of a different game. And there was one, Francisco Lindor, who's been there a while, knows what's waiting for them when they get back to New York. It's like it's going to be. He says here it's going to get loud. It's going to get very loud.
Yeah.
And the Mets media, the Mets fans, they are not a happy bunch right now. They may not be as happy as Astro fans are right now.
Yeah.
But the Mets are struggling, and it's kind of weird oh my gosh, what is their roster worth? I mean, they're paying billions of dollars to a roster right now, and they've lost 11 straight. That ain't what they're paying for.
No, and you're right that they're paying a lot of money.
They're too good of a roster to have lost 11 games.
Yeah. Well, and the way they're losing, like just yesterday, they were up 1-0 on the Cubs in the ninth. The Cubs couldn't do anything on them, and then we get a run in the ninth, and then we walk it off in the 10th or 11th, I think. And it's kind of when it rains it pours. You get in one of those moments, and it's like you just can't, even when you think you're about to win one, you can't do it.
Let's move on to the back page today as we get ready to wrap up today's podcast. Matt, what are some things that you've seen over the weekend that are going on our back page today?
Well, as much as I was looking forward to and still did watch a good bit of the NBA this weekend, was kind of glued to golf. It was a really fascinating tournament. The RBC Heritage Open. Matt Fitzpatrick came into this thing with a 3-shot lead over Scotty Scheffler, and of course you're like, it's Scheffler. He's lurking there, right? What's he going to do? And he ends up catching him on the last hole, and they have to go to a playoff. And lo and behold, if Fitzpatrick doesn't hit maybe one of the shots of his life to win in a playoff. But I bring it up because golf is, we talked about it in the Masters, that you're looking at the leaderboard at the end, and the top 3 golfers in the world are in the top 5. Like they're right there. Of course, Scheffler is the number 1 golfer in the world, but I'm looking at the latest world golf rankings, and these, let's see, they just came out today. Matt Fitzpatrick has now moved up to number 3. So the number 1 and the number 3 guys were going at it right there. Who finished in the top 5 of that tournament? Colin Morikawa, who's number 6 in the world. Like, we're kind of going through this phase where it's almost making me harken back to Tiger and Phil a little bit, that who's going to be there, and where sometimes that feels predictable and boring with golf, when you can tune into a tournament and be able, like, I remember back in the day, where's Tiger? Where's Phil? Where are those guys in these tournaments? You're getting there with Scotty Scheffler, but with some of these other ones as well. The PGA is just a couple weeks away. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be really fascinating golf. And that here's the thing about that RBC Heritage Tournament. 2 years ago, the winner was Scheffler. 3 years ago, it was Fitzpatrick, and those were the guys in the playoff. So, I thought it was fun watching. Golf has, and I think as much as I hated the Ryder Cup, I hated that we lost it, and I hated the way our fans acted toward the Europeans. I really disliked that. It has created, there's this whole vibe and energy about golf right now that I just feel like, as someone who's followed golf a lot, I don't feel like it's been there for a while. really it was like, what are we going to do without Tiger for a while, and people be like, well, so-and-so's good. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not Tiger, and it's not Tiger going against Phil, and it's not all this other stuff. And I don't know. I feel like golf is maybe becoming must-watch TV, which is kind of cool to me.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, man. I kind of need a break after the Masters, maybe a 1-week break, because there's so emotional going into that thing and watching it and enjoying it and everything. And then you look up and, they're still playing golf. It would seem kind of hard for me to do that. But yeah, so on my back page, I got a couple things here. Number one, and I kind of took a shot at your Hogs at the beginning of the podcast, but I do want to give them some props, at least in softball. I'm sure you saw this, but the number 6 Razorbacks go into Oklahoma, of all places, top-ranked Oklahoma, snapped their 31-game win streak yesterday with the big win there in Norman. So
that was actually Saturday. That was Saturday.
Was it Saturday? Yeah, I'm looking here. It just says one day again, looking on Twitter.
You killed us yesterday. But, hey, I went into that series thinking if we could get 1 out of 3, that'd be awesome, and we did.
Yeah, it's like going into Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big win. 31 games in a row, and they snap it. They're going to the belly of the beast, so to speak. And so I wanted to give your props to your folks up there in Fayetteville for a big win there. And now I'm going to take a minute or so here to say something that's been bothering me. This is more of an editorial comment on my back page, but and I want to preface this by saying I did travel ball with my kids. I understand. I'm not condemning anyone that does that and chooses to do it. I don't want anyone to take that. I'm using this as a kind of a cautionary tale from experience when I say this. So this time of year, it is very rare, if not impossible, to drive by a local ball field and not see something going on a Sunday.
Yep.
Right. It's, I mean, matter of fact, yesterday something was going on in Hallsville and the place was packed, and it was going on Sunday morning. I know our culture has changed, and I don't want this. This is not a culture talk that I'm getting into here, and I'm not trying to be preachy to anyone. Again, I did it myself, and so who am I to point fingers? And I'm not doing that with this. But I am urging some caution to folks out there who may be listening, and just understand the sacrifices that you make when you decide to go full bore on travel ball, select ball, whether it's baseball, basketball, with AAU, anything, right? When you start giving up Sundays, particularly when you are a believer committed to your local church, it does affect you. It affects your family. It does. It affects you financially. It affects you spiritually. It affects you emotionally. It really, really does, because it is a competition for what you say and you profess that is most important to you. And look, I'm saying all that and I'm preaching to myself more than anyone, because we did that growing up, and look, it was beneficial. It was beneficial to my son in that he got the exposure to get a college scholarship and go play college baseball. It's not like that with everyone. And when I see full ballparks on Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, I just have to caution everyone and say, it is what it is, and be careful when you commit to that, because it's real easy to kind of put your faith on the back burner, and you're not always able to pick it back up when you want to, and you get disconnected from the things that really matter. And so, again, I'm not condemning anyone. I'm not saying don't play travel ball. I'm just saying make sure you have a plan in place to where your children and your kids and you have that connection and you don't lose it, because the biggest regret I have about all of that, and again, I didn't have it in the middle of it. I'm several years removed from it. When you look back, and it's like, I regret the time that I didn't spend with my church family and didn't have my kids spending with their church family in sacrifice of playing travel baseball. And again, I'm not saying that as a condemnation to anyone. I'm just saying that as a note of caution from experience. And I just wanted to mention that today.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Those are good words. I could talk till I'm blue in the face about it. From that same impact that I've seen to the fact that probably the advent of travel ball. I have a son who didn't really play it much. We did a year or two, dabbled in it, but probably was the reason that my son lost interest in the game of baseball, because all his friends were doing that, and he likes playing with his friends. He likes playing the game, but if he's not playing with his friends, it wasn't going to be that way. And he knew, and he was fine with it. In our family, it wasn't going to fly because Sundays were what they were. And so one of my favorite things to watch him do was play baseball, and he just lost the love of the game because he could never play with his friends. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, and the numbers show it's overwhelmingly that the kids that play travel ball, you obviously are not guaranteed anything at the high school level, even for sure college, and even more so pro.
Yeah.
Look, I played everywhere. We played everywhere and went everywhere with some really good ball players. And I know of, from that group, maybe three in 10 years that got drafted or had a shot to play Major League Baseball. I'm not condemning it. I love baseball. But just I want everyone to go into it and understand, as someone who has been there and been through the whole experience. I had somebody when I was getting started in it, a lady that I respected and was working with very, very much so. And she said the exact same thing to me. She said it was a wonderful experience. We had a lot of fun at it, but it takes away from some things that they regret that they had to give up. And that's kind of where I'm at on that. And I just want everyone to understand, again, as somebody who's been through the movie and done it and knows the script, it's not always roses at the end of it.
Yeah.
Don't do it with any regrets. And that was my biggest regret, is that I had to sacrifice our church life a little bit. And we would go sometimes with Matt, 6 weeks without attending worship. And as a Christian, that affects you. It really does. It affects your entire family. And so
for sure,
have your guardrails in place and understand that you need that as part of your life as well. If you can incorporate it into it, that's great. We tried to do devotionals on Sunday games before games. That helped a little bit, but it wasn't the same as church. So just wanted to put that out there and do with it as you will. Okay. All right. Our final word this morning. This is a little bit different, Matt, but it's going to kind of be, I don't know if you saw this verse that I shared with you yesterday. I was going to share, and you're wondering, why on earth is he talking about that? Acts 14:3. Anyone who follows our podcast knows that I do a Right Team Daily. This is the actual devotion on the Right Team Daily today. And so I would encourage everyone to listen to it. It's a little bit different perspective, but I wanted to kind of share that here for the purpose of From the Press Box. It says, so they stayed there a long time and spoke boldly for the Lord, who testified to the message of his grace by enabling them to do signs and wonders. Of course, we're talking about Paul and Barnabas here.
Yes.
And so, from a sports perspective, it's kind of been on me about this speaking boldly, which I think I just spoke at kind of outside my comfort zone, talking about the travel ball of all things, but it's hard to do. But in sports specifically, there's a lot of things that are beyond our control, right? How many times do you hear folks say, I can't control what others do? I can only control my effort. I can only control my focus. But the thing is, you trust, and this kind of drives me nuts because I think the statement's overused, but in this case, I think it's true. Trust the process. When when things don't seem to be working your way and you're doing something that kind of feels like you're beating your head against the wall, they hear you where they say, trust the process, right? Trust where we're taking you, trust the work. There are no guaranteed outcomes in anything that we do in life, but we have to keep plugging away. We have to keep pounding and doing the things that we know are right. Because ultimately, in the end, we believe as Christ followers that, again, we don't have control of anything that happens. God controls all of that. So when we're asking here and we're seeing here this example of speaking boldly for the Lord, a lot of times that can cause a lot of uncomfortable situations. And you don't even have to be speaking. It's just living your life boldly for the Lord. But the thing is, and just like we do in our competition, we don't shrink back from challenges. We don't shrink back when opposition shows up. We try to step forward and trust the process and do what we do with conviction. Greatest moments in life belong to those who don't hesitate. And we're going to hear this. We've heard it in this lead up to the NFL draft. What are they looking for in quarterbacks? Decision making.
Yep.
You don't have a whole lot of time to decide, am I going to go to my second read or my third read, or, who's dropping into this zone and what read of defense. I mean, it literally happens in milliseconds. So you can't hesitate. Be bold in your faith, be bold in your actions, and trust the process. Trust that God is controlling all the results. That's what Paul and Barnabas did, and I just wanted to encourage everyone today who's listening to kind of take on that lifestyle because it's the way to live life abundantly.
Amen. I agree.
Okay. He's Matt. I'm David. This is From the Press Box on the Right Team Podcast. If you enjoy our show, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube at the Right Team Podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook for additional content and updates you don't want to miss. Stay tuned, subscribe, and do not miss an episode. We've got something for everyone on this podcast. A big thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Styles Electric and Right Team Services. We truly appreciate your support. Also want to thank our Right Team family of school districts in Elysian Fields, Karnak, Hallsville, and Smackover, Arkansas for also helping make all of this possible. Matt, we also want to thank our very special guest today, Coach Maddie Melton, the new women's flag football coach at East Texas Baptist University. That's going to be an exciting program to watch coming up here in less than a year, next spring.
Yeah.
So thanks to Coach Melton for joining us. Thank you all out there for listening and supporting us right here from the heart of the East Texas Piney Woods. Until next time, as always, keep writing your story.
This episode of the Right Team Podcast is also brought to you by Styles Electric of East Texas. For over 25 years, Styles Electric has been providing reliable, professional electrical installation and repair service all throughout East Texas and beyond. Whether it is a small residential issue or a major commercial project, Styles Electric provides you with the same professional service they've built their reputation on. Contact Styles today at 903-236-2536 for all of your electrical service needs. That's Styles Electric. Reliable, professional, and experienced.
Here in East Texas, every story matters, and Right Team Services is here to help you tell yours. From grant writing for local schools and nonprofits to social media, press releases, and website content for small businesses, we're proud to serve the people and communities right here at home. Clear, professional, effective. If you've got something to say, we'll help you say it right. Right Team Services, serving East Texas one story at a time.